All right, guys, it's your boy Joe back at it again, CodingPhase.com. Listen, today I have something very special for you guys. I have my boy Clement here, aka Algo Expert, aka the boss, aka the algorithm master. You dig? Yes, we got him here. We finally doing a collaboration. I found this dude, man, online. I was like, man, this dude, I love this dude. The energy is good, positive energy. And I was like, man, I got to get in contact with this guy, man. So definitely we got Clement in here. How you doing,
Thank you
Clement?
for having me. I'm doing great. I'm sensing the energy from you too.
Yeah, man. So yeah, Clement. So let the people know, how do you get into this programming?
In a sort of unconventional way. Back in college, I had never written a line of code in my life. I had this misconception that I don't know if you ever had, but I thought that coding was something reserved for people who'd done it since they were, 3 years old. And because of that, I just was always turned off by it and never did it. And out of college, after I graduated, I kind of something flipped, like a switch in my mind flipped. And I was like, maybe I should try to learn this. This is really important for all the things that I'm interested in doing, like maybe starting my own company, especially in the tech field, or maybe being a product manager, which was something that I was kind of interested in. And everyone, that had a product manager position at their company was like, oh, you need to know how to code to be a product manager. And so I discovered these things called coding boot camps back in 2016, this was, and I was like, wow, maybe you can learn how to code, without having done it all your life. And so I enrolled in one of these coding boot camps, and then the rest is kind of history.
Yeah, no, that sounds so cool, man. Yeah, it sounds similar to me. I mean, I kind of started, the first website that I did was like at 14. I did like a Dragon Ball Z website. So I did that back in the days, and I was like, man, this seems cool. But then I never touched it again till the age of 24. So it was
Oh,
like, yeah, it was like 10 years later. It's like, oh yeah, like I saw some guy on, I think it was like a Starbucks. He was like coding, and I was like, what you doing there? And he's like, oh yeah, I work remote, regular guy just coding. And I'm like, man, that sounds cool. Like, he's like, yeah, I'm working from here. And I'm like, oh sure, I need to get into this, man, because I'm
right.
working hard in some BS jobs. I need to actually start doing something that I have fun with. So yeah, so it was pretty cool that I got into this too, man. Yeah, and the fact that you don't have to be like, people think like you have to be this genius that like you're born with a gift. It's not really about being born with a gift. It's more about, sitting down and putting the time to learn. And just like anything in life, the more that you practice, the more better that you're going to get. You get what I'm
It
saying?
really,
So,
it really is. And I think, to be honest, I would say the reason that so many people are intimidated by it, myself included, is that at the end of the day, it is sort of a different language, right? That's why they're called programming languages.
mhm.
And yes, if I tell you, you have to learn, I don't know, a language that you've never learned before, you're going to be a bit intimidated. You're going to think, well, that's super hard. But then once you realize that that's the only thing that it really is, a language, maybe some sort of like logical framework around it, you start to realize like, wait, I can actually consume it. I can understand it. And then you just start to speak it as if it's like your second language.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. So, yeah, so what happened after you graduated from the boot camp? I mean, tell the people about that, how was that journey? Because I know some people, they'd be like, man, I'm so scared to go out there and start applying to jobs. And, you have a very different story from everybody, but it's interesting. I like it.
Yeah. So after the coding boot camp, I jumped headfirst into that job search. And it did end very positively for me. I ended up with a job at Google as a software engineer in New York City, which is sort of like a dream job in some sense in software engineering. But the job search itself was pretty brutal. I remember I went through tons of applications, tons of companies, and a lot of them were just automatic rejection after automatic rejection, just because it's just very hard to get your foot in the door when it's your first job, especially. I was fortunate enough to land that job at Google. I contacted a recruiter on LinkedIn and sort of was able to start the process that way. And yeah, after I stayed at Google for about 2 years, and now here I am.
Nah, that's great, man. Yeah, that's another thing too that people always like they get scared about rejection. Like for myself, like when I first got into this, I started applying to a whole bunch of companies, right? It took me some time for me to get like the right company that hired me, right? But once you're hired, you're hired. And not only that, that I feel like it's kind of good to get rejected a couple of times because you learn from them. And then by the time that you get to that dream job, you're like prepared. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I feel like people always get scared of the interviews, but it's like, man, you're going to actually learn how to do interviews because you could have the best portfolio, you could have the best websites, best applications, but that's at home. When you're in the interview with somebody asking you questions one-on-one and trying to know if you're a good culture fit and all of the different type of questions, you know, some of us, we just shut down. We just like, oh man, everything that we have planned goes blank. But if you do it like 2-3 times, you're like, you go in there comfortable. You're like, oh, I'm here. You know, let's just get this through and you know, get it done. And once you already study the questions and everything, like you're good to go. You know, so it's pretty
Totally.
cool.
You almost start liking the interviews. Maybe not liking, but you get that sort of like energy rush rather than feeling nervous or
Yeah.
anxious or something.
Yeah, yeah, because that's how it was for me. When I first started going to interviews, I was like so scared because first of all, I didn't have a computer science degree. So in your head, you're like, man, they're gonna ask me something crazy that you know I've never heard in my life, and I'm gonna fail. But then once you fail, you're like, okay, now I know what I need to go study. Now I know what I need to go focus on, and then the second, third time that you go in, you're comfortable. It's like you have that whole weight that was in your shoulders. Now you could be yourself, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, man. So tell me about Algo Expert. I mean, when did you guys decided to build this and when did you decided to like, hey, I'm going to do this?
Yeah. So Algo Expert, for those who don't know, is my company, my website. Basically, we created this tool to help software engineers prepare for coding interviews, but especially the kinds of coding interviews that big tech companies like Google or especially Silicon Valley startups tend to give. These are the kinds of coding interviews that focus heavily on algorithms, hence Algo Expert.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea came to us, well, I guess it came to me specifically when I was preparing for my Google interviews. I remember at the time, all that I had access to were these books and the internet. And if you've ever studied algorithms from books, it's pretty frustrating. It's pretty brutal to try to understand, I don't know, a dynamic programming question from a textbook. And also, I came from a JavaScript background at the Coding Bootcamp, and these books were in Java and C++, which is
Mm-hmm.
really brutal if you've never worked in a typed language.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, then I would go on the internet and I would desperately search for these questions and everything, and I would spend hours on Wikipedia trying to find solutions on YouTube, but there weren't really consistent. Like I would find one video that explained one thing, and then that one person didn't upload any other videos. And I was like, no, like I wish I had something more reliable.
Yep.
Um, so that was brutal. And I remember I kept thinking like, but wait, these interviews are so important. Like it's the one thing that you need to do well to pass these jobs. Like why isn't there something better out there? So that's when I kind of came up with the idea behind Algo Expert. What if we had a website with curated questions, with videos, a full coding workspace and all that? And after I got accepted at Google, I pitched the idea to one of my best friends who was already in the computer science field. And he was kind of relating to my misery with the coding interview prep. We decided to try to build this. We said, come on, let's do it. We've always
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do something. Let's do it. Let's put those coding skills to the test and let's build something. And that's when it was born. And we've been
Yeah.
working on it ever since. It's been super fun, super challenging, but super rewarding. And now it's really starting to like blow up with a lot of people saying it's helped them a ton and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, that's pretty cool, man. When did you guys start it? When did you guys found the website?
So it was February, the day that we wrote our first commit, on GitHub,
Mm-hmm.
or pushed our first commit,
Yeah.
was the end of February in 2017.
Wow. So pretty much it's almost the same thing as codingphase.com. I mean,
Oh,
that's
yeah?
what like I started in YouTube 2016, like November 2016. And then people just kept telling me constantly, hey man, we want to have like a one-on-one session with you. And I'm like, how can I have one-on-one sessions with everybody? You know, I can't
Right.
do it. It's impossible. So then I said, you know what? I'm going to build a website and just create all the courses that I wish somebody would have created for me in the order that I wish somebody would have told me, learn it this way. Because, you know, sometimes,
Exactly.
you know how when sometimes you're like learning something, but because you don't have a guidance, you try to go ahead of things and then you got to go back and like learn things from the beginning. You're like, oh, wait, I don't understand this because I didn't get the fundamentals. So I said I'm going to create CodingPhase.com just to make sure I have all of that in order for people and just for like the average person to go in there and learn how to code, right? So it's pretty cool that you started the same year that I started CodingPhase.com, and I'm pretty much in the same position now where people's like constantly now, like let's say what, like almost 2 years later, now people are coming back with like, yo, I got hired, I'm working at this company. Like, you know, like it's crazy because you have this idea, but then now later on you start seeing the results from it. So
And it's
that's
awesome to see that. It's
mm-hmm,
awesome to see like when people come to you and they're like, you know, this is exactly what I was looking for, and it helped me so much. And you're like, wow, okay, the vision that I had 2 years ago when I was thinking, this could maybe help people,
mm-hmm,
is now like turning into reality. It is a pretty cool thing. And I also like how you had, it seems like your story is very similar to mine, where we both had a need. You know, we were both like,
mm-hmm,
it would be, I needed to have this guidance, you know, or being taught in this order or in
mm-hmm,
this way. Let me try to do it. And then it becomes like a
mm-hmm.
business or a real
Yeah.
product.
Yeah, no, definitely. That it's crazy because just like today, somebody sent me a message on Instagram, and it was this girl who I guess she's an Uber driver in Toronto, and she just told me like, "Hey, I just dropped off somebody, and they told me to follow you because you teach people how to code, and I want to get into coding." And I was like, "Man, this is so cool." It's like now it's like we kind of like doing like I don't know how to explain it. It's like we're touching people that we don't even know who we're touching. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
Like now it's getting out there, so that's pretty cool, man. Yeah, I definitely like Algo Expert. I was going in there, man, and I was like, man, I wish this was here like 5-6 years ago when I first started, right? You know, I was like, where was this guy at? You know what I mean? Because you was breaking it down, and it's crazy. You got almost all. I think you have all of the algorithms that is really important, and just like it just you broke it down in a way that it makes sense. Right? I always hated algorithms. That's one of the things that I hate the most. I'm like, man, this thing is like puzzles and freaking, it's like riddles that you just don't like. And you have to do it for an interview, right? But at the same time, nobody really taught it this way. And I was like, man, going through your website and then like everything just clicks. Like I haven't looked into algorithms in years since I started, I started codingphase.com, and I haven't been looking for an employer, but I was like, holy shoot, man, if I wanted to go now for any interview, I'm like prepared. I'm like going
Right.
through Algo Expert right now. I'm like, this is so freaking cool, man. I'm loving it. That's one of
And
the
it's funny.
reasons. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. It's funny how like what you just said, the way something is taught can make it either very unappealing or kind of like, you're not necessarily going to love it, but you might be okay with it. And it's kind of the same with coding. Like, I think the way that coding can be taught sometimes in college, for instance, can be very like unappealing, where you're like, oh, this just looks super unreadable. I have no idea what's going on. Okay, I'm just not going to take this
Mm-hmm.
class. And then you're like, oh, wait, when somebody else teaches you in a way where it's like, oh, you can build a website, you can do this way. It's much more like
Yeah.
palatable and fun.
Yeah, definitely, man. That's one of the things that I loved about Algo Expert, because it's just everything just seems like it clicks. Like as I'm watching you explain things, everything just clicks, and I'm like, man, I'm getting reminded of all those moments where I was going to job interviews, and in the beginning, I was like, man, that's what I was like, man, I gotta get in contact with this kid, because I was like, if somebody is going to a job interview, this is the go-to product that they need. I've
Right.
seen a lot of different quote unquote competitors out there and people that might do stuff, but they're teaching it in a way where it's just like how you said, it's like the computer science way of like in school or in college way of doing it, but it doesn't click. You need more of like that that human side of things of like, okay, guys, this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to move these numbers around. It's just going to be easy. Like, you know, what I like about it is that it's just like a regular guy teaching it to you and, you know, in plain English. And it didn't feel like, you know, the guy from that commercial, you know, the clear eye guys, like clear eyes and everybody's going to sleep. You know what I mean? Right. It's like, it's not like that. So I definitely like it, man. I'm really enjoying it. And that's one of the reasons why I decided, you know what, I got to link up with you and build this partnership where, you know, I can bring my audience and my students to, you know, Algo Expert, right? So if you go to algoexpert.com/codingphase, right, you get access to Algo Expert and you get a 30% off. It's one of the things that I could say, man, it gets the Joe approval, man. So if you're looking to learn algorithms, and if you're going through that motion of like, man, I got to go to interviews, and if you want to be prepared, this is the place to do it, man. You're going to start seeing a lot of people start talking about Algo Expert in the next few months. I mean, I see a lot of people already adding the links to it, but nobody has really, you know, put it out there like that. Now I'm ready. Let's just say I'm an ambassador. You know what I mean? Give me my props. Shout out to Algo Expert. Shout out to my boy Clement. We here right now. Yeah, you dig?
We got the Joe stamp of approval. We're good to go now.
Yeah, man, it's hot, man. I'm telling you guys, man, it's the best thing that's out there, and I just love it because now I can really like send my students to the right place. What I could say, okay, man, listen, you're gonna go through Algo Expert, right? I can teach you everything that you need as far as programming, right? Get you ready, get you your portfolio ready, get you to have the right projects, right? And then now you have this great resource that just prepares you for the job interview, right? And at the same time, as a guy that knows what he's doing, right? He already worked at Google. He's creating his own companies. You know, he's doing what he does out here. You get what I'm saying? So shout out to him, man.
Thank you. This is awesome, Joe. Like, I really appreciate, again, like, props on the positivity and the good vibes. It's really like on point. But if I can just add one thing that kind of like you hit really well there, was the thing about like learning, and you were saying how you like when it's taught a certain way and relatable. And one of the things that I hated the most when I was preparing for my interviews and just in general, you're watching a video maybe on YouTube of someone, and they're going too fast, or they skip on the one part that's like super important. You're like, no, like rewind, like. Yeah. What did you do right there? And so that's one of the things that we really try to do in the videos on Algo Expert, is to really say, like, I'm going to repeat even the simplest ideas, because sometimes those are the most crucial to really hammer in.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's why I love the website, man. So now with Algo Expert, I mean, how many people, you know, if you can give like a rough numbers, how many people have been going through Algo Expert in the last, 2 years so far?
Yeah. So it's super exciting. We've been, we've had really like a hockey stick kind of figure, where the first year was kind of like very steady growth, in the between, 0 and like a few hundred users. And now suddenly it's going like this. So at the time of filming this right now, which is what, September 17th, I think, we're almost at 10,000 paying customers.
Nice.
And here's to doubling that in the next few months, Yeah,
because, definitely.
We've had the last, I would say, half of those in the last few months.
Yeah.
It's really like picking off now.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. One of the things that I always tell people here, right, is like you always want to, even though you're working for major companies, even though you might say, you know what, for anybody that's watching this, right, and most people that's watching this might say, that's it. That guy made it to Google. He's good. That's on his bucket list, and that's like the top of his list. Nah, there's more things above that. There's some more goals that you want to achieve, right? And one of the main reasons why I wanted to reach out to you was to also show that to the people. Like, hey, man, even guys that get to this point, right, where all of us might say, oh, my God, I want to go work at Google, Amazon, Netflix, Facebook, all these companies, right? And once you get to that point, there's still more that you can grow. There's more things that you can achieve, and you can say, you know what? let me start building my own business. Let me start creating my side income. Let me start doing what I have to do to make an impact out here. And I want to give you as much respect for doing that. And I love everything that you're doing right now, because it is a very good example of what, in my eyes, what every developer should do and should try to do. Right now, everybody's gonna find success, and that's fine. There's a lot of things that I failed on, but once you get to that point and you find something that you do have success with, you're like, man, I'm so happy that I did it. Because at the same time, it's your own product. It's like your baby. It's like now
it is like your baby.
You know, it's your little baby. I'll go expert. You raising it right now. He's just doing his first walks. Right now, he's saying dada. You know what I mean? So, so it's just the beginning. You don't know where this is gonna go, and then from there, we don't know what else other ideas you might come up with, right? And you just implementing them. And that's something that I wanted to show to people, like, hey, man, look how this guy's doing it, man. You know, follow what he's doing. He also has a YouTube channel. So you know me, man. I always find the cool YouTube channels that's out here. Go check him out, man. He got a pretty dope channel that every single one of you guys should be following right now. And make sure when you go follow, and whatever video you follow, just put Joe sent me here, CodingPhase sent me here. So he knows we push some flavor into that, you know?
And don't forget, comment that, and I'll heart every single comment that says CodingPhase or Joe like brought me here, just for the positive vibes.
Yeah, man. All right, guys. I hope you guys liked that collaboration that we did with my boy Clement. Definitely check him out, his YouTube channel, right? Dude is super cool, man. And by the way, man, check out the description. I'm going to put this on the description and on the comment section, okay? A link to algoexpert.io. I kept saying .com, but that's because I'm so used to saying codingphase.com. Right? I always love saying my company's name, codingphase.com. So definitely check him out, right? It's a great resource for any of you guys that's looking to go into this corporate companies where they're going to give you a whiteboard test, right? Going to give you some algorithms. To be honest with you guys, this is the best resource that's out there, period. I've tried a lot of the different platforms. I've seen other people's create little courses and here and there, but this dude is legit, created a great platform for you to practice and pretty much teaches you how to do the job interviews, okay? So it's pretty damn legit. So definitely check it out. And by the way, guys, if you don't even know how to code, but you're watching this because you're interested, right, in getting into Google, before you even try to go to Google, you need to learn how to code, okay? So that's where I come in. Check out codingphase.com. We teach you everything that you need to know about the web, right? Learn how to program, right? Then from there, create your projects, have a solid foundation for your portfolios, okay? So definitely check it out, right? codingphase.com. Love you guys. There is going to be a part 2 of this whole collaboration that I did with him, so stay tuned to that, all right? In the future, I will add it in the description too once it's ready, all right? I'll see you guys later. It's your boy Joe. Peace.